I like sewing eyelets. It is meditative, peaceful, and calming. It is becoming a bit tedious. The peacefulness has transformed into tediousness.
No more eyelets! Eyelets bad! Ah!
Hello! So, the end of 2021 left us with the Wheel of Time fantasy series and the second season of The Witcher. And I was very excited for both because, well, The Witcher, I love The Witcher, loved season 1. My husband's a longtime fan of the game. I am reading the books in book 3. And then there was the Wheel of Time, which I was very excited for because I am a longtime fan of the books. I have read them, all of them. And I was very curious to see how they would be bringing to life the whole big, vast, complicated world of the Wheel of Time. Even though the series was quite different from the books, I really liked it and the costumes were amazing. So these two series combined left me with an idea to incorporate a little bit more fantasy-like clothing into my own wardrobe, fantasy bounding, if you will. So I decided to make a fantasy bounding capsule wardrobe based upon the costumes of these two shows. Because my daughter is turning 3 in March, I am slowly getting my life back, bit by little bit, so I want to try and get a little bit more active again in my daily life. I mean, I used to be very into gardening, still am, but I've let the garden go for about the last 3 years because, well, you have a really small child running around, it just complicates things a little bit, for me anyway. So I plan to get way more active than I was. I also really want to get back into archery because I love archery and I haven't done it for years and years and I really regret that. So I want to get back into archery and maybe even try if I can join a LARP event or two this year because I've only ever LARPed once at a fantasy fair for like half an hour. It's like a LARP tryout and I really liked it. Never went LARPing again. I like just sort of pretending to be in a fantasy world for the better part of the day. So these fantasy bounding clothing would need to suit my hopefully more active future lifestyle. So this is what I thought up.
First, the basics. A pair of leggings and a tunic. And these already make up one outfit by themselves. Then a Syrian-inspired lace-up bodice. And of course, no self-respecting fantasy character would be without a cloak. Then there's this thing, and I don't know what else to call it, but I'm sure you'll set me straight in the comments. I used the pattern I drafted for my Florentine hose leggings. I'll put a link to the tutorial in the description box below. Also, I forgot to film the fabric for my Wheel of Time inspired skirt, so that was not pictured here in the introduction. The putting together of the leggings is fairly uneventful. You sew 2 tubes and then you sew them together at the top and voila, leggings. The much bigger challenge was getting the camera to myself. Once you have the pattern done, you can whip up a pair of leggings real quick. I love these and I have plans to make at least 3 more. On to the tunic, which I plan to make from this piece of blue linen that should just be enough. You may have noticed the abundance of blue fabrics I'm using. For some reason, I unintentionally have a lot of blue in my stash. I love blue, but I'd gone off it a bit lately. Then Wheel of Time landed, and for some reason, I started warming towards blue again. Is it cheating if you use mainly one color when making a capsule wardrobe? Oh well.
Forgot that sleeve gussets just bring out the idiot in me. What? Why? Tried it on last night, pretty happy with the fit. I also cut a strip of bias tape last night and sewed it to the neckline and then pinned it into place. So that's what I'm gonna do now. Hello, hand sewing, my old friend. And if the hand sewing is less than perfect, I am not going to be bothered by that a great deal, because I secretly kind of like it when you can see tiny little hand sewn stitches showing through. Gives it that nice sort of rustic, homegrown feeling. I don't know. Either way, I like the way it looks.
I always think I'll just take a shortcut and not finish the seams when I'm hand sewing linen, and I always chicken out at the last moment. Linen frays quite badly, especially when cut on the straight, so in order to still have a garment after washing it, it's a good idea to fell the seams on your linen tunic. After it was done, I could not resist putting some finishing touches on it, so I did some simple embroidery along the neckline. I think this particular stitch is called the narrow rope stitch, though I'm not an embroidery expert, so don't shoot me if I get it wrong. With the tunic finished, it's time to start the bodice. I picked this dark blue wool that I found at the thrift store. I didn't have any bodice patterns lying around, so I decided to drape one myself on my expertly padded out form. So professional.
It still looks like crap. Well, I tried to pin it into place a little bit more. I made a seam. Just sort of very evenly, like 1 centimeter seam. So I'm just going to take 1 centimeter off of the back panel, off of the center back of the back panel. So this will still be there will not be a seam in the finished project, ideally. Oh, I still need to pin this a little bit better. But yeah. This needs to come down a little bit more, I think, because it's a little bit too... Yeah, I don't like this neckline at all. This looks so wonky. Okay, well, let's just soldier on and see where it ends up. Okay, so I stayed up a little later last night and I wanted to start on mock-up number 2, but I didn't have the appropriate fabric downstairs with me. I didn't want to go upstairs and potentially wake my sleeping family. I intended to use this as mock-up fabric. Then decided to use it for my Wheel of Time inspired skirt. So I cut out the front panel, and this is going to be the rest. And that's waistband. So the two panels together, I did a Hong Kong seam, finished rather shoddily, but oh well. We shall not talk about that. It's my favorite finish in the whole world, and I used some of the leftover fabrics from the tunic, so that was satisfying. I have marked the line where the embroidery needs to go, because on the Wheel of Time you can see those sort of lines on the skirt. I really like those, like straight away. Those were my favorite, those lines. And I'm not entirely sure what they used with it. I'm gonna have to go back and take a better look, but in the meanwhile, that's not gonna influence my decision at all. I'm just gonna embroider a line just like I did with the tunic and have that be it. Although I might end up regretting that, because this is the first line and there's gonna be like 3 more lines, so potentially a lot of work. But I do like embroidery, so I hope it will be worth it. And I might just do a really, really simple, quick embroidery. We'll see. This is the thread I'm using. Oh, I'm gonna have to keep this safe. Wait, just a second. I'm just gonna film it so that I have the number. If only it would focus. Focus, focus, you can do it. Focus, focus. Yes, there we have it. Now I know the number and I can order new if I need it, and I think I will need it because it's a lot of embroidery and just one piece of embroidery floss. And I saw with my reform dress how fast embroidery floss can go. So, probably gonna have to order more.
For this, I did a super simple stitch. I don't know how it's called, but you basically do a running stitch and then you thread another length of embroidery floss through that. Now, on to the waistband. I tried gathering the fabric before attaching it to the waistband, but I quickly abandoned that in favor of pleating, and I have 0 regrets.
The skirt is done. Or is it? Because as you can see, the overlap here is a little bit too, well, how do you say, narrow? I don't like the way how I have lots of room here, so I can fix that easily enough though. I'm going to move the buttons a little bit more to the center and see if that does not take care of things. So, no self-respecting fantasy character would be without a cloak. I found a handy dandy diagram on Pinterest. I'll link it in the description box below, but I used it to make a cloak pattern. I just sort of freehanded it. Didn't see the need to make a pattern first and then pin it on. And you can't really pin stuff on stretchy fabrics anyway. Shouldn't do that. So, fortunately, that wasn't necessary. This is where the closure is going to be, and I'm going to fit a hood into this tiny little opening. I hope it will work because I don't know, it seems very tiny. But then again, it does fit around my neck just fine, so we'll see. I can always make this a little bit larger. It doesn't need to be this fitted. Maybe I should just make it a little bit larger just by shifting it around a little bit. And this is gonna have a closure. I'm undecided on a closure as of yet. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Ta-da, it's done, almost, sorta, kinda. I went for the wider hood, more loose hood, so I added an extra 10 centimeters, but I dread to think what would have happened if I hadn't added those centimeters, because it doesn't look like a wide hood to me at all. It, like, barely fits, so maybe I have a exceptionally long head or something. And I found this in my stash. No, it is not a tail that I ripped off of some poor unsuspecting wolf, but I think it is something that used to be on the hood of a coat, and now I will attach it to the hood of my cloak. Oh, niet doen. Nee. Oh,
Stop!
stop.
Ik!
Even laten staan, oké? Nee, nee, laten staan.
Oké. I like sewing eyelets. It is meditative, peaceful, and calming. It is becoming a bit tedious. The peacefulness has transformed into tediousness.
No more eyelets! Eyelets bad! Ah!
So, I don't know if you can see it. I've drawn a neckline on the fabric, and I've pretty much drawn out the pattern onto the fabric. And first thing I'm gonna do is add some embroidery along the neckline. I just don't really know what kind of embroidery I'm gonna go for. If I'm gonna go for something like geometric, like fairly even, or something really organic and flowy, I haven't decided yet. So gonna meditate on that some more, and then embroider it on, because it's easier to embroider on if the fabric is still in one piece. If this is gone, like if I've cut this out and then I'm gonna have to embroider upon this, it's gonna be a pain. Now I'm gonna be able to just put it into an embroidery hoop and embroider to my heart's content. Okay, so I have completed the embroidery. Well, I say completed. In my mind, embroidery is never really complete, so, you know, completed for now. Next step would be the neckline, getting it cut out and faced. because I think it would be much easier to do that now while I can still lay it out flat, as opposed to when it's been made into a tunic. Normally I just make things into a tunic first when I am making tunics, and then deal with the neckline, but this time we're not going to do that. Okay. Okay. I took a chunk out of the side, underarm side of the tunic, so as to get bias tape. Now I didn't completely cut this on the bias, so might not work the way I have envisioned, but the plan is to line this with this bias tape. I had my hair... Talking so difficult. I had my heart set on just getting a piece of brown fabric and laying it over, and then just sort of, you know, sewing the neck hole and then turning it inside out. That would have been the ideal option, but I just don't have enough of that. That's nice if you have some leftover fabric, but I don't have that, so I had to get creative, and hopefully this will do the job in a similar fashion. Update. I have sewn the bias tape in place, cut out the neckline. I'm going to cut it out a little bit closer to the edge and then flip it over and sew it in place. You might have noticed my sudden dedication to hand sewing, but my sewing machine is on the fritz because the pedal keeps jamming and just keeps stopping in the middle of me sewing something, and that's really, really annoying. So I'm suddenly very, very into hand sewing until the damn thing gets fixed. So, on with the task. How do you like that embroidery? I like how it's turned out. It's sort of a little bit Lord of the Rings-ish, I think. Yeah.
A few weeks have passed since the reveal, and I am now ready to evaluate my life's choices and the stuff that I've sewn. No, wait, just the stuff that I've sewn. Beginning, of course, with the leggings. Love them, wear them all the time. 10 out of 10 recommend, want to still make 3 more. The tunic, have not worn quite so much as the leggings, but still a lot. And also love it because it gives your outfit this instant sort of Viking boost. So, yeah. Bodice have also actually worn this, but not a whole hell of a lot because I tend to go for clothes that I can put on in a hurry because I am often in a hurry in the mornings to get my kid to school. And this does present a bit of a challenge. So, I have worn it. Not as much, but still I'm very happy with it, and I think it will be a very nice sort of basic thing to use for LARPing outfits and putting together LARPing outfits. The skirt I have also worn quite a lot. I think maybe as much as the leggings maybe. And I like it. I love it. I wear it with much pride and joy. I have moved in the buttons even more because it kept dropping a little bit to my hips and I wanted to sit right at my waist. And I don't regret that. However, I do find that these flaps thingies often show and I find that distracting. So what I plan to do is keep my eye out for some sort of what's the word? Tape. You know, the tape with little decorative tape. Yes, decorative tape. Stitch that on so that when it does sort of flap open, it will have something pretty to show for it. So, that's the plan for that. Then there is the cloak, and I must confess I've not worn this at all since filming the reveal because, well, one, the weather has not really been permitting the wearing of cloaks. It's pretty cold here, so I tend to go for stuff that closes in the front all the way. And yeah, I think this is really not one of those things that integrates into a wardrobe, like the day-to-day wardrobe very well. I think this is definitely going to be like a staple for festivals or LARPs only. So, yeah. And then we come to the over tunic. Oh boy. I still like the embroidery, but the fit of this thing is... It really sort of flattens the whole chest area. It pushes everything down. It just doesn't look good. Not a good look. I think I'm gonna maybe donate this to somebody who has a little bit less in the chest area and will probably look much better in this than me. Which is a pity because I do so like the embroidery. Look. But yeah, well, in the meanwhile it will live in my wardrobe and maybe it will get taken to a LARP event if I don't donate it first. So, all in all, this has been a very trying project because I have been working on this video for so long, because it is so long. I'm ready for a nice short little project after this. Thank you if you stuck all the way to the end. Thank you so much, you're awesome. If you want to support my channel, please consider liking, subscribing, leaving a comment is very much appreciated. Sharing it with your friends maybe, if they're interested. If you want to do a little bit more, you can hop on over to my Ko-fi account and buy me a coffee. Also much appreciated. Thank you for watching. Till next time.